Hey Zergs, this is a breakdown of ZvZ, where we're against an aggressive style, and I play normal macro with some adjustments to the aggression of my opponent. And the reason I want to go over this game in particular is because I used a lesson that I learned from fighting against both Shin and Dark. Shin and Dark are GSL Codes champion level players. They're extremely good. And whenever I fight against them in ZvZ, I pretty much always lose around the Ling Roach phase. And one thing that they do that a lot of other Zergs at my level don't do is they focus on being really strong with the basic units Speed Zerglings, Slow Banelings, and Slow Roaches. Before they get to Lair, they both represent all three of those units against me by having a Ling Bane opener of some kind. And then once the aggression starts to happen for a few waves, they'll mix in Roaches. And once you have 5 to 8 Roaches, then Banelings aren't as good in the Ling Bane stage. So this game, I'm against a like 5.6k barcode Zerg, and they open with an aggressive build here, where they're getting an early Ling speed, pulling off gas. They have 15 workers on minerals, and they have a second base. So they're expanding behind some early speeding pressure. My pool isn't even done yet, and their Ling speed is halfway done. So this is the difference between a macro hatch gas pool build and this sort of gas pool hatch Ling pressure. So one thing that I'm kind of thinking about here is, okay, there are early Lings. I made a 19 Overlord just to be safe, and then I made 6 Lings. So that actually set me up pretty well to deal with this. I'm playing a hatch first, pretty much as safe as you can. And I don't really want to fight unless I have more Lings grouped up than them. So I'm just kind of buying time. My queens are going to be out soon, and then I'll have more areas to take good fights. They pick up one Zergling kill there, which is cool. They're not really spending their money behind this aggression, though. I'm kind of noticing that in the replay, but I couldn't see that in the game. I make one spine in the main because I don't know how committed they're going to be. And I want to drone, so that's a way that I can be able to drone. And they're running Lings around. I'm getting a Bane Nest. And I put my 2 queens hold position on the ramp, so I can control the movements both in and out of the main base there. So these units are stuck, and the units at my natural won't be able to run into my main. So I'm rallying some more drones into the gas. I feel like with the spine on the way and my queens, I'm safe to drone again. The natural might not be safe right now, but I think I can drone up after this. And they haven't really sent Banes at me, so this is still a somewhat light pressure. They got a lot of damage from it. Multiple drone kills, killed a couple Lings, but my infrastructure is solid. I didn't lose my base. I had earlier 2 queens. I did inject my bases once before I moved the queens to the ramp. So now I'm just droning and kind of going into a normal game. And a lot of ZvZs will start out this way, where there might be some kind of weird, cheesy exchange at the beginning, but then it kind of ends up looking more similar to a regular macro game. It's just kind of scuffed at the start. So I'm going to go for a third here because I see my opponent has a third. And I don't really think I have the larva to overrun their third just with Ling Bane. So I'm not really expecting to be able to kill that, so I'm going to take a third of my own. The reason I don't think I can kill that is because I did drone a lot to catch up after I lost a few drones. And now I'm getting the 4-minute 20 Roach War, and this would be earlier if they had not cheesed me this game. But a Roach War in around the time when you have about 10 drones at the natural, I think that's a reasonable time to throw down the Roach Warren. It costs minerals only, so it doesn't cut into your Baneling aggression if you want to be aggressive with Banes. And it unlocks the next tier unit up in this sort of exchange. And I'm applying some pressure here. And then once I've made a decent number of units, I start going back to droning. Let me see if I'm droning already here. Production. Okay, so I'm making Lings and Overlord. And I see the Roaches. So units tab, we both have 27 workers. So identical worker counts. And now I'm making Roaches, which gives me enough time to make them reactively to seeing my opponent march Roaches at me. And then I went back to droning because I felt like I was safe enough to do so. They're going for an attack, but I have a lot of lings. I have 4 Banes to try to control space and keep that big clump of lings away from this fight. So now my Roach ling is fighting just their roaches, and these lings were all blocked from the fight. They couldn't do anything. And this is punishing them for skipping a Bane nest. You can skip a Bane nest in ZvZ, but the Baneling has its advantages in being able to bully large number of lings. Very efficient for their cost. I brought both of my queens here. They were both on a hotkey from being hold position at the ramp earlier against the initial attack. So I just used my queen group and I said, hey, go to the third. There's going to be a fight here, and they transfused 1 Roach and they killed an Overlord. So pretty good. And then I made another queen in the main because my queens are far from my main. And then I send the queens to inject my natural in my third. And then now we're going to swing back at them while I have units. I'm making 2 Overlords. And now we just have more stuff here, so we're able to just kind of lean into this third base. Continuing to press the attack. What do I make with my production? 20 lings, so I did that as a reaction to, hey, this push is working, and I feel like if I just flood more units, I can just end the game. That's a little bit of the killer instinct mindset in ZvZ of as soon as you notice your opponent won't have enough stuff to defend your attack, you could just hit the gas and just try to all-in them to end the game. This would negate against things like if my opponent had an earlier lair than me, which they do. Yeah, I'm just now starting my lair, so this is a fairly good opportunity to really shove and just make more lings behind it. Because a lot of stuff can happen. If you don't attack and capitalize on this, your opponent gets to keep their third, they have their earlier lair, maybe they get early tunnel claws against you. Going for this kind of follow-up aggression can be a nice way to just rule that out. If my opponent tries to catch up by playing greedy, then I can just mass lings. Nice micro from them using hold position on the drones. Causes my Roach Ravager to derp out and the lings kind of derp out. Just making more roaches and lings behind this. My lair is almost done. Go back to inject with all the queens. And this is game. So I wanted to show you this match specifically to talk you through the reaction to aggression, your ability to project some force at this base, and then just see what they're doing. Because by attacking their third, they showed me their roaches that they intended to attack me with. And then dropping a Roach Warren when you have around 10 workers at your natural, and your main base has 16 and 3. Actually forgot this spine. I could have moved this to the third earlier. But yeah, this is kind of the essence of an early game hatch tech ZvZ, which a lot of matches don't even get to lair tech, and this was a fairly good example of defending against aggression and then knowing when you can step across the map and end the game. Hope you found this breakdown useful. Cheers.